And welcome back. It's been another busy week at the state legislature, and our next guest has been keeping close tabs as lawmakers face emergency requests from the city of Jackson. Adam Ganucheau is editor-in-chief for our reporting partners at Mississippi Today. He joins us now by Zoom. Adam, welcome back to Mississippi Insight.
Thanks for having me, Byron. Good to be here.
Before we start talking about state politics, let's talk a little bit about the stimulus and the bill, the $1.9 trillion that was passed by the House and the Senate this week and signed by the president. Senator Wicker getting a lot of heat for praising a portion of that bill, but voting against it. What do you make about what's going on there?
Yeah, I think he tweeted on, what was it, Wednesday evening, the day the House passed the bill. He tweeted support for a provision of that massive package that would send money to restaurants. Of course, he was swiftly criticized because he is one of, I think, every Republican in Congress who ended up voting against the ultimate package. And he voted against the $1.9 trillion package that passed, and he was criticized sort of for boasting about a piece of that, even though he voted against it. Byron, I mean, what I'd say is, this was kind of quickly pointed out. A lot of people jumped on him on social media for it. Senator Wicker, to his credit, did push the Restaurants Act. He was sort of one of the primary authors of the amendment that ended up passing in that ultimate bill that passed that would send the money to the restaurants. So I don't know. I tend to kind of think the backlash was a little bit overblown. He did vote against the package, but he has sort of been on record supporting restaurants and funding for restaurants as it relates to their dealing with the pandemic as we hit the 1 year mark here. So I don't know. I tended to think that was a little bit overblown, but certainly people have the right to their opinions on the matter.
And and he basically pretty much said that he doesn't have to support everything in the bill, but it could be some parts that he likes, but doesn't have to like the entire bill to vote on it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just because you like parts of the bill doesn't mean that you're going to like all of it. I think that's a completely fair defense, and that's sort of the line from his office since the tweet got so much traction. But yeah, I think that's fair for Senator Wicker to think and to do, and that's sort of where I stand on it, at least.
Let's talk about state politics and what's been going on with the city of Jackson, with everything that's going on with the water crisis. What legislative response has been like so far for Jackson's request for millions in water system funding? What are you hearing and what are you seeing?
Yeah, so as it stands right now, it looks like the ball is completely in the court of the legislature. Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, the first-term mayor of Jackson, has he's made the ask. He's made two main asks of both Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, who presides over the Senate, and Speaker of the House Philip Gunn. Basically support a bill that would allow the city of Jackson to increase a sales tax on certain retail items by 1 cent. That new revenue that would be created from this new revenue, like I said, this new tax rather, if the legislature signs off on it, would then be used to back large bonds. So the city would then borrow a lot of money using that new revenue to make some kind of immediate repairs and replacements of the current water and sewer system. The second main ask is for $47 million in what the mayor says is immediate emergency funding needed to make some necessary repairs on the city's water treatment systems. Both of those asks, I think, the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker received those asks warmly. And the third thing, circling back to the question you just asked me about, Byron, is the federal stimulus package. The legislative leadership on both sides think that that sort of tucked away in this $1.9 trillion package from Congress will be a lot of sort of money that the state legislature could appropriate to the city of Jackson, specifically for infrastructure and water needs. So those are the three ideas being considered right now. Lawmakers are in town. They're scheduled to be in town for another 2.5 or so weeks. So the clock is ticking on how exactly they'll decide to help out the city right now during this water crisis. But talks are continuing. I mean, they are considering those three main things.
And there's been a lot of talk about the relationships between city leadership and the state leaders. And this week we saw not only the mayor making a big ask, but the Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann was out giving water with the city council members. How important is that relationship that we're trying to see the dynamics of the relationship, especially with Councilman Stokes and the Delbert Hosemann?
Yeah, so the mayor and Delbert Hosemann, that there's been some tension there. We've heard whispers of that for several weeks at the Capitol. That tension kind of went public in one of the mayoral debates ahead of this year's municipal elections. Mayor Lumumba told this story about a meeting he had with Lieutenant Governor Hosemann, in which Hosemann kind of cleared the room at one point and basically said, we'd like the city to sell the Jackson Wiley Evers Airport for $30 million. That's how the mayor told it. Hosemann has not denied that that's how that meeting went, but the mayor sort of implied that Hosemann was trying to hold up potential infrastructure funding from the state over the airport, and Hosemann has pretty sternly denied that implication, at least. But yeah, Byron, I mean, you're right. The relationship between the lieutenant governor and the mayor has been a key part of sort of how everyone's thought about this at the Capitol. This is a current ongoing crisis that the city says it needs a lot of state investment for. So those relationships matter. Delbert Hosemann, at the end of the day, has a lot of sort of individual influence over the state's budget and also the state's bonding process. So that's something to watch for sure. As of right now, the mayor did meet with the lieutenant governor this past week. They had by all accounts, a sort of respectful, productive meeting to talk about sort of potential state funding for the crisis. We're going to keep watching sort of how the dynamics of their relationship, perhaps could affect the negotiations at the Capitol. But for now, everything seems okay, and everybody seems to want to get something done for the city.
The governor signed a bill on Thursday that limits transgender athletes from team sports on the basis of genders they're born with. Why was this a priority?
It's a good question. We've been careful to highlight in our reporting of that bill that passed in both chambers throughout the entire legislative process. So whether it was committees, the bill started in the Senate, so that Senate committee, Senate floor, then House committee, House floor. At no point during the process could any lawmaker who supported the bill pinpoint a specific time in which this had come up in Mississippi. This is a priority because it's a national talking point for Republicans. It wasn't until Democratic President Joe Biden recently signed an executive order that makes it easier for transgender athletes to play the sports with at least however they align themselves or identify themselves, whichever gender, that's the sports that they'd be allowed to play. So Republicans across the country have taken that and run with it and have tried to make this a political issue. But again, in Mississippi, this has not been a problem. We are now the second state in just this year to pass legislation like this. I think Idaho was the first. Governor Reeves, when he signed the bill, talked a lot about his daughters, his 3 daughters, and sort of the sanctity of women's sports and girls' sports, and wanting to protect sort of their livelihoods. Advocates who oppose this bill would argue that this is just not a problem. It's nothing that we need to deal with. Why would you focus a lot of time and energy on it? And I'll say this, Byron, I think that Governor Reeves going out of his way to hold a signing ceremony for this bill that ultimately has zero bearing on Mississippi to anyone's knowledge right now. He took the rare step of holding a signing ceremony to kind of tout his position on this. So I think that kind of tells you all you need to know about the politics of the moment.
Adam Ganucheau, Mississippi Today, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Byron.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon, and we'll be right back. Big thanks to U.S. Senator Roger Wicker and Mississippi Today's Adam Ganucheau for their insights this week. We'll be back next weekend for more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Byron Brown. For all of us here at 12 News, make it a great weekend.